Okay, so I'm Grasswalker. Hello and welcome to the sixth and final game of Group C in the Dota 2 2022 Bot Masters. On the Radiant side, we've got KrizBots. Currently they're 1-1. And on the Dire side, we have the default unfair bots made by Valve. They're 2-0. So we have a chance here for unfair bots to climb the Everest of the Dota 2 Bot Masters and go 3-0 in the group stage, which two other teams have done in their groups. Alternatively, we have a chance here for KrizBots to grab the unfair bots by the neck, slam dunk them into the ground, and even it up and make both teams 2-1. Which I believe would put them at top of the group, because they would be 2-1 with a win over the tied opponent. So looking at these drafts, for KrizBots we have Tiny, Legion, Treant, Grimstroke, and Slark. Grimstroke is a spicy hero to pick for a bot to try and play, I think. Treant, I think, is currently 0-4 in this tournament, not a great choice there. Unfair bots, they have Dragon Knight, Venge, Drow, and Tidehunter with a spice of Death Prophet. KrizBots, they smoke up at the start of the game. This is their move.
Prepare for battle.
They love doing this. I think that they've got some good heroes that they've chosen. Tiny is on a spree in this tournament. He hasn't won every game he's been in, but I think Tiny is something like 4-1 in this tournament. Slark has yet to have been picked. This is the first time we're seeing Slark. Legion is on a good roll this tournament as well. Even though Legion hasn't won every game they've been in, they've never had a bad game. Drow and Tide are going to find Legion Grim. Who does this benefit? Neither side looking like they want to get involved in too much. Legion doesn't have any items yet. Picks up a Quelling Blade towards the end. Has a Gauntlet in the base now. Slark tanks one tower shot.
To battle.
Gets himself a little bit stuck on this dire staircase high ground. We've seen a lot of bots struggle with this dire high ground staircase. It looks like we have an action-free bounty rune session. It's just gone to last hits denies. But you never know what could happen. We see as Treant thinks there's a bounty here.
Battle begins.
That's not there anymore. Whilst Venge and Dragon Knight steal the rune, mirrored a little bit by Drow and Tide. Grimstroke's about to walk into two heroes, gets stunned, gets right-clicked, he's taking a decent amount of damage, lands the Inkswell onto two, but where's he gonna go? James Madison, he's gonna have to TP to base. Does survive. That Breathe Fire was a pixel from First Blood. In the mid lane, we have Tiny versus DP. This should favour the DP. DP is probably not going to be able to kill the Tiny, but they're going to have a lot better of a time farming. I would call it like somewhat even favour to DP. And I'm not talking the heroes as a matchup, I'm talking when bots are playing them. Because this Tiny is going to get hit every time he comes into CS, he's going to be tanking Crypt Swarms. If he goes in for anything, he will get silenced. I don't think this is going to be a great lane to Tiny. Also, if he runs in and tanks a tier 1 tower shot like this, that's not going to be great for him either. Top lane, we have a 5 position Tidehunter. Some of the bots pick some weird 5 positions, I will say that much. But Drow is a very stable and reliable bot-driven 1-pos. Drows are usually played very well by bots. Opposing that, we have Legion and Treant. So we've got Legion, who's got a great win rate in this tournament so far, against Treant, who I genuinely think it's 0-4. I don't think we've had a single Treant win a game so far. That's that lane. Bringing down to the Dire off lane, we've got Dragon Knight supported by a Vengeful Spirit. The Dragon Knight should not die in this lane, and he is against Slark, supported by Grimstroke. We've got James Madison. Chains are on row. Kafall, Om Jefferson, and Boomaster. Boomaster, that's a good name. I'm enjoying Boomaster. Working on his bracer.
Triage.
Drow forced to run to base. That's going to be game ruining for her, I think. That's a lot of XP lost. They're not making the best of it though. They're watching these range creeps get killed by the tower and they're not CSing any of them. Treant comes in for the dart. They're not, oh my god, they've missed every single one. Legion gets one right at the end. But when 7 creeps are under the tower, you need to get more than 1 and 7. They go in on the tide, but it's a bit off the mark. Bottom lane, we've got Silenced Up Dragonite. He doesn't know that you're supposed to hit the bug. Slark has 8 denies. He's 8 and 8, 9 and 8 now. So the KrizBots are getting a really good farm. Meanwhile, the Valve bots abandoned the lane. They all TP mid. What for? They TP mid so that they can run towards the bottom lane.
I'll take that.
That's lane ruining the Valve bots. They've fully shit the bed on that one. Legion chasing down the tide. Tide's got a clarity. Legion's fast enough. She wants to cancel this. Drow finds them both. Frost Arrow with the little slow. Legion's a little bit too tanky for that though.
Denied.
Another deny comes out. This time from... oh my lord. The Grimstroke has 5 denies. Slark jumps in. Got the bug on them. Without boots though. Oh, the line the Vengers ran is very questionable. Turns around for a stun. Slark takes the stun off. Well done there by him. But yeah, I think if Venge just ran to the tower, she would have been fine. But she ran this way to the tower. A little bit dangerous. Meanwhile, Brow getting chased down by the Treant. Treant hits really, really hard. I think 2 more clicks and the Treant has her. And now he finds himself stuck in the middle of 3 heroes. That's a Frost Arrow. And it's the Treant that gives up first blood. Unfortunate. Valve unfair bots taking that bounty for themselves. Goes on the Death Prophet as well. That's probably the best hero to get first blood on in this game. Outside of the Legion, but that's on the other team. Tiny. Tanking some creeps. This top of the staircase causes some problems for the bots. As to why, I have no idea. Legion wants to land a big overwhelming odds. The Boomaster! Thinking about that. Farm-wise, nobody is farming well. I mean, Slark and Grimstroke are just running around the Radiant Jungle. They have abandoned the lane for some reason, which gives... I mean, Dragon Knight and Venge now free reign to just last hit these creeps as they see fit. There's been always a contest in the top lane. They forced Drow back to base a couple of times, but she's always been trying to be up here laning. Thinking about going in, they've slowed down the Treant, which makes his offense a little bit weaker. Legion chases the Drow, Tide chases the tree. But at the end, nothing comes of any of it. I think Drow wisely salves up and can stay in the lane this time. In terms of the economy, it's favouring the Valve unfair bots. In terms of the XP, it's favouring the KrizBots. KrizBots have abandoned less lanes for less time. Getting a lot of XP top, both level 3, compared to the... I mean, it's 3 and 4 for Tide actually, so that lane's ahead. Maybe it's this off lane? Bounty. 3 and 4 compared to the 3 and 3. 6 and 5. So is it all in mid? It looks like it's all mid. The entire XP advantage is all on this Tiny. Drow, Tide, TPing bot. And then this is where your XP advantage throws itself away, because the unfair bots just TP 2 heroes down to bottom to then walk back top. But all that time, this Treant Protector should be lasting. He's not, but at least he got 1 creep's worth of XP, question mark? Got a couple of heroes mid. The lane seems to have favoured the DP. If she had spent less time running around headless, I think she would be higher in levels. She has more CS though, 15 to 11. Then again, if Tiny gets all 3 of these, doesn't even try for it. He watches these creeps die to the tower, and not the play there. Stays at 11 CS. Drow not having a great time CSing, but neither is the Legion. Both around 8 or 9. Drow should get some of these. There's one. Now it's even. 9 and 9. Drow should get both of these, but isn't trying for either. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Slark is having a great time. 20 CS just about on him. About to get that 20 CS. Oh, no. The deny from the Venge takes that away from him. Ooh, we missed second blood. We missed the whole fight.
Women and children and
the Treant, he was standing on the outpost. The KrizBots, they try and take the outposts, but they're not aware. Meanwhile, this is what we were trying to look at bottom. A chase onto the Slark. The missile's available. There it is. Free fire's available too. The heal onto the Slark. He tries to TP. The stun's there. Cancels the TP. Breathe fire and a courier. And now, got an Ink Swell on the Grimstroke. Gets that stun going. Ooh. A nice kill onto the Venge. Dragon Knight, if he toggled to Int Treads, might have a Breathe Fire. I think if he toggled to Int Treads, he would have his Breathe Fire and he would get this kill. But instead opts to very, very slowly try and walk him down. The salve's there, cancels the salve. That seems to be the end of this exchange. Oh, 2 for 2 trade across the map. Tiny farming up a storm mid. Yet to get a CS though in the last couple of minutes. Should be farming up a storm mid. Misses that one. Should get this one too. Doesn't go for it.
Gold for me.
Dragon Knight and Slark looking at each other. Both want to get back to the lane and farm. Legion now finding herself second place on the CS tables. Drow forced back to base again. Drow's 4, Legion's almost 6. We've seen Legions play well, we've seen Legions play poorly. There was a Legion commander who was feeding dual damage to the enemy lifestealer. Hopefully the KrizBots Legion is a better one. The economy favouring default unfair bots, XP favouring KrizBots. This game could go anywhere, really. It's so hard to picture. We've got a fight happening bottom. Dragon Knight's down, but so is the Grimstroke. Slark has his jump in about 3 seconds. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Treant chasing the Drow. Puncher. Puncher. He stops. Legion not quite having that duel yet. Legion's also stuck. KrizBots, please don't get stuck in the enemy jungle like this. This is not where you want to be. Huge waste of 2 of their heroes right now on the map. They could be laning against the Tide, could be getting kills, they could be forcing the DP out, but they're not doing anything. They're just stuck, they're confused. They want this outpost, but they can't take it. You need to kill a tier 2 tower before you can take an outpost. Was a new rule that was added since the 2.5 years since KrizBots was abandoned. It's deprecated, it's old software. Let's have a look at the net worth graph, see who's where. Dire side looking like it is top of the tables. Tiny is poor, he's jungling, might get himself a neutral item out of this. He has already, there's a broom handle. Hopefully he can jungle some for the rest of his team. That might be one of the difference makers. I know the unfair bots will equip neutral items if they have them, but I don't know if they actively jungle for them in the same way that this Tiny is looking for neutral items. Can they leverage? Can they leverage this broom handle into something for the early game? It's a great item for Tiny. Gonna TP mid. KrizBots. Avalanche is the wave, but doesn't CS any of them. He takes the ranged creep. Doesn't quite time the attack speed right. Gets 2 of the 4. That's not too bad for a bot, to be honest. Then, he gets gone on. Death Prophet's here. He's so tanky, though. He has the Bracer. He's level 9. He's a Tiny. Are they going to die for this? Avalanche. I mean, the Dragon Knight took way more damage than the Tiny did. Meanwhile, Venge being chased around the jungle. This KrizBot Slark is having a good game. He hasn't gotten stuck. He hasn't abandoned anything yet. James Madison on the Grimstroke. Silences up the Venge.
Savory.
Both heroes level 6 for the Radiant. Dragon Knight does not have his Dragon form yet, but they're going in on the Slark anyway. He uses Shadow Dance and he should be fine. Shadow Dance is one of those abilities that will annihilate bots. However, he's just there tread switching. He's dead. He was so fine. And then he just started tread switching a million times a second. Oh no. As I was saying, Shadow Dance is one of those skills that, as they go in on the Grimstroke here, Dragon Knight stuns himself, but that doesn't matter too much because they get the double kill down here. Oh, and it's beginning to fall apart for KrizBots. Tiny's jungling, but if he just cast an Avalanche, this would be going a lot better for him. They have 2 bricked heroes. Tiny's going to TP bot. They've got the Tiny and the Slark. Maybe toss him in. Dragon Knight's form is ending in the next, like, 7 seconds. The Slark's a little bit too squishy, though. He starts tread switching, but that doesn't do anything, Slark. Oh, no. The unfair bots all of a sudden really pulling away with this game. Oh, it's so close as well. The XP just, boom, immediately dropped. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Exorcism takes out the Treant. Exorcism looks like it wants to take out the Grimstroke. And the tier 1 tower top beginning to fall. I mean, it's a disaster for KrizBots. Legion was off to such a good start and they've just
Radiant's top tower has
bricked.
fallen.
Now we see 5 on 5, which is the signal of a huge stomp. Not Shaker, sorry. Tiny avalanches by shaking the earth. Oh, I would have loved to see him toss the Venge back to this creep or something. He's there, he's stunned, he's not under the tower now. Avalanche onto 2. If Legion was here, I think this could be a dual kill and like the moment of snowballing, but unfortunately it's just Tiny running for his life because he's all by himself. You know what, Drow and Ty get a bit of damage on the tier 2. Tiny comes back in. The Dragon Knight's so low, the armlet, it's bled him. He's not used his armlet correctly. Oh, Tiny stops the face. Death Prophet in danger of waking up the Legion. If you wake the Legion up and she starts playing again, that could be a disastrous rotation into your own jungle. Tiny finishes off the Venge. Lots of stuff happening on lots of different places of the map. Death Prophet sandwiched in the middle of 3 heroes. She starts sucking off 2 of them. Inkswell on the Slark starts tread switching. Ooh, the bug is on the DK. He's at like 1 health. Sucking off the Treant Protector. He dies, as does the Dragon Knight. Slark just stands there and tread switches. That's not going to do anything. There goes the Grimstroke, and now Slark is... he's in a bad place. Tiny runs in, but that's not where you want to run. He gets the Avalanche on 3, but what's the point? It's just going to cost him his life, probably. Ion's just off the mark. If only Legion was here for a 4-man overwhelming odds, could make the difference. Treant runs in. There is the Tide Hunter Ravage. Sends the scamp of a Slark running. Tiny silenced up. Little micro stun. James Madison on the Grimstroke. He's here. He's silenced them up. It's bound them together. Drow looking low. She does die, but Slark runs in and feeds. It's a 3-for-1. All that while, Siege Creep hitting the tier 1. Big fight for the dire side. Extending their lead. It's such a shame. I felt like KrizBots, this game was theirs to throw away, and they just bricked 2 heroes up here. Legion's still bricked. He's gone from top 3 to bottom 2. Meanwhile, the Death Ball with an Exorcism, that's hard to deal with, even for non-bots. Dragon Knight's an excellent push hero. Tiny's running in, but for what reason? He just runs in, gets stunned, Ooh, it's a huge overgrowth from the Treant. It might actually be a massacre here. Dragon Knight's armor toggling, but that's not going to achieve anything. They're chasing into the exorcism. It's a 4-man wipe! KrizBots hold the tier 2. The accumulation of ranged damage from nukes, such as the Stroke of Fate, bonus damage per target 50, there's a creep wave, there's 4 heroes, they all took like 500 damage from Stroke of Fate. Grimstroke carrying that fight as best he can. If the Legion's there, that fight's even better. See the graph swing back up in the favour of KrizBots. Legion might be awoken by the Dragon Knight here. They look at each other. Dragon Knight's like, I'm just here to get the rune, don't mind me. And the Legion stays bricked. No. Kind of just want to sit here and watch the Legion. It's so painful. Slark jungles himself up some giant wolves. Doesn't finish him off though. Vambrace found by Tiny. Here we go. Neutral items, 1 apiece so far. Treant Protector way out of position. Silenced up, he's dead. But in the meantime, it's Dragon Knight that's out of position as well. It's a 1-for-1. And if you're this far behind, trading a support for a core, that favours the Radiant side, and sure it does. 400 gold added to their bank account. Tiny, he's pulling off this bait again. If they glyph into Avalanche, into the Stroke of Fate, this could be a team wipe. We got a similar team wipe before. Huge Stroke of Fate. Soulbinds the Venge. Avatos onto the DP, slows her down, right clicks from the Tiny, that's 1 dead. Tiny fall, the tower falls in the background. Ravage onto the Slark. He's dead before he can even click his ultimate. Ooh, Avatos. Huge burst coming in. They're all low, but none of them are dead. Drow doesn't have very much damage. They're all right clicking the Treant. Treant does die. Tiny has to run away. If the Legion's there to put an overwhelming odds on top, that fight's so much better. Avatos kills the TIE Hunter, and now it's Drow running for her life. Pick up a tree and toss it. Ooh, he doesn't want it. Tiny, saving grace for the Radiant side. KrizBots Tiny trying to carry this game on his back. I want the other fight recap. Oh, we got an Ava. Slark looking for this Dragon Knight. That's some permanent Agi in his pockets.
Your blood's too thin for my...
Permanent Agi's not going to rack up quickly, but every little bit helps, especially for bots that have very slow item builds up. Like, bots really struggle to build items. They don't have great farm, they don't have great map awareness. Every Agi, it's worth a couple 100 gold, so it's definitely worth having. In terms of neutral items, we've got 2 now. Vambrace on the tree, and I don't like that. It should be on the Tiny. Broom Handle on the Tiny, that's okay. Death Prophet's really happy with their Fairies Trinket. It's unlucky that Slark hasn't jungled up any more neutral items, because it's 20 minutes. You've got the 7 and the 17 have a chance to spawn. There's a grenade, but he doesn't pick it up! Slark! Pick it up! Oh, I thought he was going to go back for it. Tide steals the bounty rune. Yoink. Spotted out by the Treant, him and the Slark. They're thinking about getting him. There's the overgrowth. Slark's in. He's stealing his stats. Tide is tanky, but he's not that tanky. Amazing use of the Nature's Grasp. And it's 1 more click and he got it. It's the gem on the deck. Slark now. 4 Agi. Echo Saber soon to complete. Dragon Knight pops the ult mid. I'm not sure what that's for. Death Prophet's exorcismed. Working on some ancients, so that puts the neutral items at 3-2. KrizBots have stemmed the bleeding. In terms of XP, they're in the lead, and in terms of the gold advantage, you watched it start plummeting away, and they've gone, no, level it back up, level it back up. Don't let them keep don't let them keep the advantage. Broomstroke looks like he's gonna die here, slowed up by the Drow, and there he goes. Legion still bricked. Treads Bracer. At 10 minutes it's good, at 22 it's bad, and... I mean... What is she doing?
Silence.
Fight breaking out mid. The Slark's just tread switching, which leads to his death. I wish he would stop doing that. Buyback comes in. The tier 4 tower does finish off the Drow, so it's a 1-for-1. 2-for-1, sorry. Buyback from the Grimstroke. He does nuke the wave and the heroes. They glyphed. This would put that push on the back foot. Tower manages to do the job by itself. Illusions will tickle it for another maybe 15 damage. Missing uphill, that's 4, 8, 12, 16. Oh, 20 damage. Treant heals the tower. That increases his armor. They leash a couple of them up. Tiny Abatos, it's on 4! Here we go, it's the cleanup time. 2 heroes dead already. Now they've got the 2 that are leashed together. Slark picking up 2 more Agi, and Tiny carries that fight on his back. The Tiny's 13-1. Of the 19 kills, Tiny's 13 of them, and he's just carrying this game by himself. They don't pick up the Fey Grenade. I don't know, because the Fey Grenade's one of the newer neutral items, right? I don't think they recognize that it exists. So they might be in trouble there. Graph's spike back up towards KrizBots. The lead is only 4k. This is a close back and forth game, and oh, more bots brick. 3 bots bricked in the jungle. Please stop. You have to stop. Ugh, I can understand why Kriz, back in this patch where you could take the outposts, you win a good fight, go take the outposts. I get it. I get why you scripted that. But there's no failsafe. Slark now tread switching until he dies.
Bring me back.
I know I should respect the dead.
And
but
every
first,
time
I
I
have to
think
earn it.
KrizBots is going to start leveraging a comeback, they throw it all away. They're yet to really hit a tier 1 tower. They're yet to take a tier 1 tower. They haven't grouped up and pushed once. This is an awful defense from Tiny. The Exorcism cutting that tower to pieces. You've got 3 heroes bricked on the other side of the map. Tiny needs to get out of there fast. That 4-staff forward from the Venge, looking for the swamp. Silence just barely clips the Tiny. He's using his phase boots to run extra fast. He should just blink away. There comes the stun. It's under the tier 2 tower. Avalanche onto 3. Minus armor, aura, and the gush. Tiny's dead. He can't 1v4 this
You
game.
weren't meant to.
The rest of his team's either stuck in the base or failing to jungle. It's a disaster class from KrizBots. This game was so winnable for them. It's not over yet. There's a chance for another comeback, but every time they start making a comeback, they throw it all away. Treant finally TP's back into the game, which means only 2 heroes are bricked now, but your Grimstroke's one of the most important ones. He's got that AoE damage. I mean, the Legion. She was so strong. The laning stage, you got Treads, you got Bracer, they're jumping the Slark. He manages to escape. They don't even have a script which is like, if the tier 3s are being attacked, TP and defend. That would wake them back up. Slark dead. Abatos onto the Venge. She's dead as well. It's a 1-for-1 buyback from the Venge. Spicy from her. Tiny wants to be careful. Death Ball, it's all mid. Neutral items being picked up more and more by the Radiant side. But they're running around, they're focusing the outposts, and the outposts don't matter when your base is being attacked by 4 heroes and a catapult. Thankfully they glyph, which looks like it'll kill the catapult and repel the heroes. But only for so long. The Death Ball will resume. Tiny, Abatos blinks in, almost one-shots the Drow! If only he had fellow heroes. They're in now. Ravage onto 3, but it's the only 3 that are here. Tiny does get stunned to death by the Venge. Treant soon to fall. Slark just starts tread switching, and that's the end of him. 2 heroes bricked in the enemy jungle. Such a shame. Such a shame. Deathwall comes in mid with the Exorcism. That will be your first lane of Rax. You have to imagine. The Treant, he can't solo defend this. He will try to heal it. He's the only hero on the map right now. The other 2 are bricked in the jungle. Drow is not having a good game, really.
Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
It doesn't matter. First Rax falls. Buyback from the Slark, but he only had like 3 seconds left on his respawn timer. Should have just respawned. What are they planning to do? Without Tiny, they have no hope. Tiny's up in 10. Are they really going to go in before the Tiny's back? They heal up the tier 4 that's getting hit the most. 12 bonus armor. Healing. Tier 4s are doing some damage to the Dire squad. The tier 4s definitely putting them in a rougher spot than they should be. Tiny's up. This could be the defense. If all 5 were here, I would hugely favor KrizBots, but it's just not quite going on. One of the towers falls. They're gonna have to defend the other. They decide against it. I mean, they're just watching the fountain now. Exposed. Breathe fire in the wrong direction, and KrizBots unwilling to defend. With 2 heroes bricked in the enemy base, and an inability to just make the jump. The Tiny refuses to go in. There's no Avatos into the base. It's just
dire victory.
Cleaned up by the Valve default bots. The 3rd team in this tournament to go 3-0 in the group stage. It puts a lot of pressure on Group D to have 1 team take that 3-0 spot, but that was more dominant than it should have been. If KrizBots had not bricked, they were looking like they were going to start taking that game. Scoreboard, the Legion was having a great lane, but never got involved, never started dueling, never started racking up the damage. Tiny was immense, by far and wide the MVP of this game. On the other side of things, it's hard to say really. Maybe it goes to the DP. Their hero damage was huge. So I think I'm happy to give that to the DP. It's a shame because I always like to reward good support play, but obviously Tide fed a gem, and other than that, warding didn't really happen on this side. On the KrizBot side, you got Treant and Grim sort of wasting their time. Wasting about 2,000 gold on sentries. And there's nothing to deward. Meanwhile, on the graphs, we can see that KrizBots favoured on the XP. They were getting more levels. Meanwhile, the default unfair bots were getting more gold. Then Legion stopped playing. And I believe someone else, I think it was Treant, got stuck as well. That's when things really started to pour down towards the unfair bot side, because if you've got Valve default unfair bots and 5 of them are playing the map and only 3 people are playing the other side, you're gonna start gaining it. And they got some fights and got some counter fights, we got some fights, got some counter fights. We had this huge comeback moment, the 4-man wipe, and Tiny couldn't carry this game all by himself. He needed those other 2 heroes, and they were not willing to play the game. If we're looking at the early game, you see that Dire is definitely getting more out of the map, but Tiny and Slark are having an okay game. Legion's not having like a bad game, especially as she ends up here farming at like 2,000 net worth. And then about here, the 2,300 net worth area, this is when Legion just stops playing the game. You can see their blue line, I believe they are, and they just go flat. So it's at this moment here, 2,700 net worth, the Legion stops playing and just completely flatlines, stops being a hero that's relevant to the game. The Tiny, however, starts having his sort of big comeback, and him and the Slark start like balling up. Grimstroke has that great defense, and there's a moment here where you got Tiny Grimstroke all the way up there, but they're just missing the rest of their team. Tiny stays up for the most of the game in second place. Slark joins him sometimes, goes back when he buys back. And even when the game ends in a brutal stomp towards the end, Tiny is still top 3, top 4 heroes. And he was top 2 effectively before those last couple of towers fell. And obviously that gives some money to the Drow, but that right here is the story of this game. It was Tiny all by himself with no backup whatsoever, trying to carry a game against 5 players. And that concludes Group C. I hope that you've been enjoying the Dota 2 2022 Bot Masters. We've got one more group stage to complete, and then it's on to the playoffs. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in that next group. Bye.